Connor, has Aaron Rodgers, by the way, kind of been like as advertised in Jets camp? Is the feeling like, yeah, okay, wow, this is Aaron Rodgers, and like not like, oh, I don't know, maybe last year wasn't a fluke with the decline we saw after the back-to-back MVPs. Is the feeling around the team that like, all right, this is Aaron Rodgers, like this really is for real?
Yeah, I think so. I think the reason because one, the Jets are really young in a lot of areas, especially, like a Garrett Wilson, like a Breece Hall, where they look at Aaron Rodgers and to them it was kind of more legend to them a bit, where then they see him and they actually get to watch how he operates. And, it takes them a couple of days to be like, oh, wow, this is actually our quarterback. This is our teammate, not just a guy I'm watching from afar anymore. And then I think for Rodgers, this is well documented, whatever was going on in Green Bay, and there seemed to be a lot there, friction with the front office, not always having much of a say on personnel decisions and, problems beyond that. Sometimes you just need a fresh start. I think people just can't go out and say that sometimes. Sometimes you're just unhappy at a workplace and you just want a fresh start. And Rodgers is motivated in a way that it feels like it's been a little bit since, I would say, but right before the MVPs, right? He's in shape. He's in really, really good shape. And it's not just in shape of like, cool, best shape of his life, the classic BS. It's the fact that he looks good. He looks physically very impressive in camp. It's funny for the Jets because I think things are being judged on watching the years of Darnold and, obviously Zach and Joe Flacco and all these other guys at camp. And then you go to Aaron Rodgers. So even if it's 90 or 80% of the regular Aaron Rodgers, it's going to look really, really good. So I think that plays into, how much he's taken over training camp at times as well. But I think the most important perspective for the Jets and real football and for fantasy football is the fact that Garrett Wilson has all the talent in the world to be a top 8 wide receiver in this league. That much is clear. We saw it when he was an offensive rookie of the year last year with pretty much nothing at quarterback. And Rodgers is a guy that likes to lean on premium talent, especially the play style of Garrett Wilson. Rodgers has even alluded a couple times to the play style of Devontae Adams, the way they can get off the line of scrimmage, the way they could separate, the way they can make acrobatic catches in the air. So I think that bodes really well for everybody involved on that side of things. And there's already a comfort level between them, even while Garrett Wilson's been dealing with a minor ankle injury, and the entire offense as a whole. They just feel like an adult is in the room, in charge, in command, and that they can lean on him when everybody's heads are spinning a little bit. And that was something they weren't able to do last year in camp, and unfortunately trickled into the regular season.
Yeah, Connor, you basically just answered my next question, but I'll kind of rephrase to it. You mentioned Garrett Wilson several times. You mentioned like Aaron Rodgers not really having a say in the personnel in Green Bay. At least that was our understanding of it. One of the biggest offseason storylines with Aaron Rodgers and the Jets was that he was getting like all the say in the personnel. And they brought over Alan Lazard. They brought over Randall Cobb, right? I was just wondering if
he's hanging around there.
Just wondering if that was like a fever dream. They brought over Randall Cobb. It seemed like he wanted them to sign Mecole Hardman. So he brought in so many of his guys, even though, like you said, Garrett Wilson should be the guy. He's far and away the most talented receiver, reigning offensive rookie of the year. Is this looking like, you kind of said that it is this looking like hopefully the match made in heaven that fantasy managers are expecting it to be between Garrett Wilson and Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah, he's just too good, right? At some point, the talent. Let's go back a year ago, right? Or even, about a year ago. The Jets get to week 1. They play the Ravens. The first half, they're putting Lawrence Cager out there. They're playing a ton of tight ends. Garrett Wilson's barely on the field. And then some of the plays he makes with the five snaps he gets in very limited, action in the first half, they're like, oh my God, this guy's awesome. He has to be on the field. And the rest was kind of history, which is dumb and probably wasn't really the best of looks for Mike LaFleur at the time, that it takes that to get there. But I think Rodgers, say what you want about him, he definitely has the experience and the brain to know who's a really talented wide receiver. And he's picked up on that with Garrett Wilson immediately. And they're going to lean on Garrett Wilson immediately. When you look at the signing of Lazard, it's a nice number 2-ish guy to have that does a lot of the dirty work blocking. The Jets didn't have a lot of size in this group, so they wanted a bigger body target. They held on to Corey Davis, ironically. So we'll see how Corey Davis kind of fits in the mold as a number 3-ish player, along with Mecole Hardman, who gives them a little speed. You brought up Randall Cobb, kind of a forgotten man because he's all the way at the back end of the depth chart, especially when you look at a guy like Jason Brownlee, an undrafted free agent, just having a phenomenal OTAs and then carried over into a phenomenal training camp. And caught 2 back-to-back catches before Izzy Abanacanda's touchdown in the Hall of Fame game. So Brownlee really making a push to make the roster now. So yeah, I mean, it's just Garrett Wilson's show. I think this offense will be funneled through Garrett Wilson, like the Green Bay offense was with Devontae Adams in 2020. And when you just look at how talented he is, you know, it's not just in between the 20s, it's not just yards after the catch, but I think he'll really lean on him in the red zone too, which just makes him an entirely different beast. They'll spread the ball around, the 3 different tight ends they have and the depth wide receivers they have, but Garrett Wilson's the star of the offense, especially why Breece Hall is not 100% out of the gate.
So Connor, are we looking at Lazard as the wide receiver to start the season, or do you think someone else can emerge, someone like Corey Davis?
I think it'll be Lazard, and I think so much of that goes into the fact that they really want him on the field, not just for pass catching, but also as a legitimate blocker playing really tight to the line of scrimmage. I think that's a huge aspect of signing him for Hackett's offense and what they want to do. And besides the trust factor with Rodgers and the fact that those two like playing with each other, I think there's a gritty aspect to Lazard's game that you're wasting Garrett Wilson's time if you want him to do that. You're wasting McCall.
Please don't.
Yeah, like you're not asking McCall Hardman to do that. You're not really asking Tyler Conklin to do that. Honestly, Conklin, maybe because he's this big, long-haired, tattooed tight end, people think he's like this inline guy. He's not a blocker at all. He's a good pass catcher. That's what he is. So they don't want Conklin to do that. Uzama's been banged up a lot. I think Ruckert actually probably gets more playing time eventually than Uzama, and he's a blocker of a bit of a blocking tight end at times. So, yeah, is it sexy and appealing for fantasy, that Lazard, Corey Davis, McCole Hardman trio where they're probably used in different roles and different packages? Probably not. But if you have to pick a number 2 in terms of snap percentage, it feels like Lazard will be that bona fide guy.